don't mess with his bathtub, and pray that his pen doesn't leak. King Charles was once dubbed the Pampered Prince for a reason. King Charles III has expressed his over-the-top frustrations on more than one occasion following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Of course, one could blame the temper tantrums on the loss of his mother, or
Good day, royal watchers and crown enthusiasts. Imagine spending your entire life waiting for a job, finally getting it at age 73, and then realizing your heir apparent has completely different ideas about how to do it. Welcome to King Charles III's current predicament, where the monarch who waited longer than anyone in British history to where the crown is now dealing with Prince William seemingly impatient to modernize everything Charles holds dear. The tension between father and son isn't just family drama, it's a clash of royal visions that could reshape the monarchy itself, and the palace corridors are practically vibrating with frustration. Quick favor, if you're loving this royal intrigue, hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell to keep getting the latest updates on Canadian and UK politics. Cheers if you did. Now back to the show. So let's start with the fundamental issue here, because this isn't just about two royals having a disagreement over tea and biscuit.
perhaps the king sidestepped the first stage of grief, which is denial and isolation, and went straight to the second, which is anger. But it seems that the newly appointed King Charles has a track record of angry outbursts, flaunting privilege, and seeking petty revenge. In 1994, Jonathan Dimbleby released his authorized biography of Charles, the Prince of Wales, an intimate portrait.
King Charles has spent decades, literally his entire adult life, developing a very specific vision for his reign. He's passionate about environmental causes, traditional architecture, organic farming, interfaith dialogue, and maintaining certain royal traditions he believes are essential to the monarchy's dignity and purpose. He's the philosopher king who writes letters to ministers, champions causes others ignore, and genuinely believes the monarch should be a voice for deeper values. Then along comes William, who's watched his father wait forever for the throne, seen public opinion shift dramatically, and apparently decided that his generation needs to do things differently, much differently, and preferably starting right now. The frustration reportedly centers around several key areas, and here's where it gets properly juicy. First up, the pace of modernization. William is pushing for a more streamlined, accessible, relatable monarchy. He wants fewer working royals, reduced pageantry, more casual public engagements, and a crown that feels less distant from ordinary people.
The book was meant to tell Charles's side of the story following his very public split from Princess Diana. However, as Vanity Fair reports, reviews of the autobiography were scathing, as
Think monarchy light, all the symbolism with half the formality. Charles, meanwhile, spent his entire life respecting protocol, understanding tradition, and believing that royal mystique actually matters. He's not opposed to evolution, he's modernized plenty himself, but William's approach apparently feels less like evolution and more like revolution, and it's happening whilst Charles is still learning the job. Now, here's where the palace dynamics become absolutely fascinating, because this isn't happening in a vacuum. William is the Prince of Wales now, the title Charles held for over 60 years, and he's using that platform aggressively. He's launched his own initiatives, made policy statements that sometimes diverge from his father's emphasis, and cultivated relationships with younger advisors who have decidedly modern ideas about royal relevance. Reports suggest Charles feels somewhat undermined, watching his son build a parallel operation that occasionally
its contents were called the whining complaints of an out-of-touch, privileged man. Meanwhile, in her 1998 book, The Royals, Kitty Kelly wrote, "His level of contempt disappointed people who expected their future king to be high-minded and big-hearted, but he came across as petty and small." During the first few days of his reign, King Charles's public temper immediately sparked
shadows the king's own agenda. It's like being the head teacher whilst your deputy is already planning how they'll run the school differently, and doing so rather publicly. But wait, because there's another layer to this friction that makes it even more complex. Charles is acutely aware of his place in history. He's the king who followed Elizabeth II, arguably the most successful monarch in modern times, and he's desperate to prove he's not just a placeholder keeping the throne warm for William. Every time William makes headlines with his progressive approach, it subtly reinforces a narrative Charles absolutely hates, that the monarchy's future lies with the next generation, not the current one. Charles wants his reign to matter, to have substance and legacy, and William's impatience, however well-intentioned, threatens to turn Charles's kingship into a brief intermission rather than a meaningful chapter. The environmental angle adds another dimension of irony here, because both father and son are passionate about climate issues, but even there they clash on approach. Charles favors traditional conservation, sustainable agriculture, and working within existing systems to create change. William's Earthshot Prize and various initiatives feel more Silicon Valley
concern, and it doesn't appear that the situation will improve over time. In fact, King Charles continues with his over-the-top frustration at even the most minor of things. Charles's quick-to-anger temper was on full display when he signed his monarch docs on September 10th. Camilla, the queen consort, stood on guard as he waved
more innovation-focused, more about disrupting rather than preserving. It's old guard environmentalism versus new school climate activism, and neither is wrong, but they're definitely not always aligned. Charles apparently finds William's approach sometimes superficial, more about optics than deep commitment, whilst William likely views his father's methods as too slow for the urgency of the climate crisis. Then there's the personal element, because these are still father and son navigating a unique relationship dynamic. Charles grew up with distant parents, particularly a father in Prince Philip who was demanding and critical. He's tried to be warmer with his own sons, more emotionally available, but that closeness also means disagreements feel more personal. William, having lost his mother young and navigated immense public scrutiny, has developed a protective streak about his own family and a determination to shield them from pressures he believes are unnecessary. When Charles wants George
for an aide to move an ink pot to the side of a table and then move it back again. King Charles added his moniker without assistance, but then a small tray of pens to the side of his desk was not removed at the exact time required. With
Charlotte and Louis more involved in royal duties earlier, William pushes back, and those conversations reportedly get heated because they're about family, not just monarchy. The media's role in amplifying these tensions cannot be understated either. Every slight difference in approach gets magnified into a potential rift. Palace sources, those ever-convenient anonymous insiders, leak stories that pit father against son, modern against traditional, future against present. Some of this is genuine tension, but some is also media construction, turning normal family disagreements into constitutional drama because that sells papers and generates clicks. Charles is particularly sensitive to media narratives after decades of often negative coverage, so even minor stories about William's popularity or innovative approach can sting more than they probably should. Here's the uncomfortable truth that makes this whole situation rather tragic.
a strange grimace, the king shuffled the tray back and forth, glaring until an aide removed the offending item. The king's latest outburst was also triggered by a pen. On September 13th, the new king sat at another desk signing papers, this time in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Camilla watched the proceedings, while 3 aides stood behind the new king.
Both Charles and William want the monarchy to succeed. Both are dedicated, hardworking, and genuinely committed to public service. Their disagreements aren't about selfishness or ego, they're about deeply held convictions regarding how best to preserve an institution they both love. Charles believes respect, tradition, and thoughtful evolution are essential. William believes accessibility, relevance, and bold adaptation are survival requirements. They're both probably right, and that's exactly why finding common ground is so difficult. It's not a problem with a clear solution, it's a tension that defines modern monarchy itself. The Canadian and broader Commonwealth angle matters here too, because these aren't just British debates. William and Catherine's tours have sometimes emphasized different messaging than Charles would prioritize, and that creates confusion about what the crown actually stands for in places like Canada where monarchy's relevance is constantly questioned.
Anticipating his every need. It was a good job they were on duty because King Charles's gold fountain pen leaked a little ink onto his finger, and he was not happy. Camilla immediately sprang into action. She relieved the pen from his grasp and passed it to an aide. As the team
Every mixed message weakens the institution both men are trying to protect. Ultimately, this frustration between Charles and William reflects the monarchy's central challenge, staying meaningful across generations whilst maintaining continuity. It's a delicate balance, and right now, it's creating some properly awkward family dinners at Windsor. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more royal revelations from both sides of the Atlantic. Cheers!